You can create some amazing looking websites with Claude AI. In fact, here's a few I created with just one simple prompt. I've created hundreds of these AI websites with Claude AI, and they look really good, but there's one big problem. You can ask Claude AI to create a website, it gives you all the code, it looks amazing, great animations, unique design, everything. But then you're thinking, all right, how do I put this on a live domain? How can I manage this for my clients or even create a business email for it like a real website? And that's usually where most tutorials stop. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how to take an AI generated website by Claude AI and launch it on a real live domain. What's even better is any change or update you make on your AI website will be automatically updated and reflected on your live website instantly, without having to touch any files or even using the terminal. And you can do all of this in about 10 minutes. Now, some of you watching this are like, all right, that's cool, Daryl, but what about a database? Well, no problem. In this video, after we set up your AI websites, for those of you who want to incorporate a database, I'll then walk you through how to incorporate a free database onto your AI websites. A database allows you to store anything entered on your AI websites, like emails, phone numbers, or customer information. It's pretty practical, and most websites today need a database. So let's get started. Now, the first thing that we're gonna do is head over to Claude AI. So there is a link to Claude in the video description. Okay, now the first thing that we're gonna do is show you how to set this up on PC. Now, in order to make this work, you must download the Claude application on their website. So go to claude.com/download and then download the Claude app for Windows. So here, I'll click on download. Okay, now the next thing that we're gonna do is we're now going to install Node.js and also Git. This essentially allows us to display projects via local. To give you an example, if I go over here and click on code, you're gonna see that I have a live preview of this, and I can actually view this on a local host. So we can edit the websites, we can customize it, and we can do all of this via local host. Also, we need Node.js because a lot of these programs that you create, they contain JavaScript, and you cannot view JavaScript on a local device without downloading Node.js. So first, let me walk you through how to download these programs. So here, I'll open up my Google tab. This is actually the same AI website, and as you can see, it is hosted on a domain. Now, the first website you're gonna go to is nodejs.org. This essentially allows you to run JavaScript through a browser, so you can actually see what you're working with. So all you gotta do is click on Get Node.js and install it, okay? And I'll install it with you guys. It's really simple. I already have it installed, and then just go ahead and install Node.js. Okay, so here I'll just go ahead and install it. Okay, and after clicking on next a few times, you'll just go ahead and click on finish and you're done. So it's a really quick install. The next thing that you'll install is Git. Now, this essentially allows you to host your projects via local, so you can actually work on projects on your own computer without having to use a browser. So right here, I'll click on install for Windows, and then here I'll click here to download. I'll use the default editor. I'll click on next. Then I'll just let Git decide. So here I'll click on next. I'll go with the recommended options. I'll use the recommended installation of bundled open SSH. Here I'll click on next. Next, I will use the native Windows secure channel, and then I'll check out Windows style. Here we go, next. I will also leave this as default, so use mini TTY. This is the default for terminal. I'll select the fast forward or merge, and then we'll use the Git credential manager. Now it's installing this onto your computer, and this process might take like a minute. All right, and I'm gonna uncheck the view release notes and just click on finish. And that's it, we're done. So let's go back to Claude. Now, if you have Claude open, I definitely recommend to close it and then reopen it. So since we downloaded those, here I'm just going to close Claude. Now, the first thing I wanna do is create a prompt for Claude Code. So here I'll type this in. So here we go. I want to create a modern real estate website using Next.js. Now this is critical. Make sure that you instruct any app or website you're building to use Next.js. This is a very optimal framework with very clean code, and most projects use Next.js. Next, I'm just giving it some basic instructions, but here I'm asking it to create a prompt for Claude Code to create this website. So I'm not actually creating the website here. I'm just generating the prompt to give to Claude Code. So here, I'll run this prompt. All right, cool. So now I'm gonna take this prompt here. I'm gonna copy all this. All right, gonna hold the scroll button, right? I'm gonna copy all this. And then we're gonna go to Claude Code. So over here, I'll click on code. Now I'm gonna right click on my desktop and I'm gonna make a new folder. So here, and this will be Daryl's Real Estate. This is essentially the name of your project or website where you want everything stored. So I'll click on select folder. I'll go to my desktop. And then I'll select the Daryl's Real Estate and click on select folder. Essentially, we are just working on this project from local and everything is stored in this specific folder. Okay, so this was the prompt that we created earlier, and this is going to create my project. So I'll go ahead now and run this prompt. Next, you may get a pop-up if you want to trust this workspace, and of course, it's your own computer. So I'll click on Trust Workspace, and now it's building my website. Next, it'll ask me if I want to activate Node.js. Now again, this is usually required if you're running projects that have JavaScript, so make sure to allow it. All right, so after the project has been finished, now I want to view it. Now there's two ways on how to do this. I can instruct Claude to do it, or I can just use the browser over here and click on preview, but I'll just instruct Claude. Next, I typed in, I want you to have the dev server running so I can see the application while developing it. Here, I'll run this prompt. Okay, so now we can view the website as a local host. So here, I'll click on this link. And here's our beautiful website. As you can tell, it looks great. Everything works successfully. And now we can actually work on projects via local host. Now let's go ahead and scroll up. Now let me show you how to preview this from the Claude app. Now, in order to preview this from the Claude app, all you got to do is click on this link right here and click on preview. Next, I'll click on setup. Now it's asking us where we want to view the websites. If you want to view it from this section here, you'll just go ahead and select via preview start. If you want to view it from your browser, you just will click on don't do anything. In this case, I'll just select the via preview start. And there we go. Now we can view our project here on the right side. And of course, you can always make this bigger if you want to view it with a different, browser and stuff like that. But I'm just demonstrating that you can work on your project and use Claude at the same time. Now, of course, you can make any changes you want to your AI websites, but I think you all know how to do that by now. The next thing I want to do is I now want to push this to GitHub. Now we're going to ask Claude to do this for us. So over here, let's type this in. Next, I'm asking Claude, I want to initiate a Git repository for this project. So here, I'll run this prompt. Next, it may ask you how to handle the files. Just click on the recommended setting. Then we'll select yes, commit everything. Now it's going to ask us how it wants us to sync up with the GitHub. The first thing we want to do is make sure that we have a GitHub. So let's go over here and go to github.com. So now we need to make a GitHub account. And I think many of you probably already have one, but if you don't, just go ahead and sign up. So here I'll click on sign in and I'll sign into my account. So after you make a GitHub account, we'll just make a new repository. So here I'll click on new. And then this will be the name of your AI websites. So here I'll just put in, okay. And then I'll click on create repository. Essentially what we're doing right here is we're creating a repository so that they can push the files here and store them so Hostinger can fetch them. So next, let's jump back to Claude. Next, it'll ask you, how would you like to set your GitHub identity? Just go ahead and select set it for this repo only. You're just gonna give them a name and an email and they're gonna find your GitHub for you. So here I'll select set for this repo only. Next, it'll ask you what name should they use to configure for this repo. You're just going to enter in other, and then you'll select your name and then the email. Make sure this is the same email address that you use with GitHub. So here, I'll click on next. Okay, so now we're ready to push this onto GitHub. So here, let's type this in. Next, I typed in, link it with the online repo with the following commands. And let's go back over here to GitHub. Now you're going to select the repository, the one that you recently created. So over here, I'll select on repository, and this was the one that I created. Now we're going to scroll down and you're going to see or push an existing repository from the command line. We're just going to copy this and paste this into Claude. Next, I'll hold Shift Enter and then I'm going to paste that command. Now we're going to run this prompt. Next, you want to make sure that you allow these permissions. Now it may prompt you to log into GitHub. So here I'll just click on sign in with browser. Next, you should get a confirmation saying that the authentication has been succeeded. And as of this point, your project is now synced up with GitHub. And we can test this out by going over here to our repository. And if you go over and you click on your repository, you should see files inside of your project. So let's go over here and click on code. And now you'll see under real estate, we have all of the files listed inside of our project. So now this project is ready to be pushed to a live web host. Okay, so let's say that you have your website finished and you're ready to go. Now we're going to go to Hostinger. Now the reason why we're using Hostinger is not because it's cheap or I recommend it, it's because they have a Node.js app installer. This allows Hostinger to fetch your AI website and to automatically reflect it on a real live domain. Hostinger can also communicate directly with Claude and self-correct any errors that you come across. You can also add a CDN to your AI websites, flush the cache, add a business email for it, and also add a free database. All right, so let's get started. Now in the video description, there is a link. This will take you to Hostinger to deploy your AI website using their app installer. So in the video description, it'll take you to this page in order to deploy your web app. Once you get here, you'll click on view plans. And obviously there's only 2 different plans, but you can always just select the cheapest one. So here under the business, I'll click on choose plan. Next, we're about to our cart page, and here you can select the period. I definitely recommend a minimum of 12 months. This qualifies you for a free domain and a 30-day money-back guarantee for any reason whatsoever. Now, we also have a coupon code for all of you party people. If you go over here and enter the coupon code Daryl10, you will save an additional 10% off any of the plans at Hostinger. So here, I'll click on apply. And there it is. We got an additional 10% off our web hosting package. So once you enter in that coupon code, you'll then click on continue. Next, you'll register and make an account with Hostinger. Next, you'll put in your billing address. So you'll put your first name, your last name, and sign up. Next, you'll put in your credit card details. So here, I'll fill this out. All right, once you put in your credit card details, you'll then click on submit payment. Next, you can enter in your free domain. So here you'll type in the name for your new AI website. So I'll put something in like Wilson AI websites, and then here I'll select my free domain and then click on next. Next, it'll ask you if you want to deploy your Node.js web app. Here under the import get repository, you'll select connect with GitHub. Now just make sure that you're logged into GitHub, and Hostinger will automatically sync up with GitHub. So here I'll select my username, and then we'll select accept new permissions. Then you might have to wait a minute to let it sync up with GitHub. Next, it's going to pull all the repositories from our GitHub. And here are my other projects, but the one that I want to use was the one way here at the bottom called Real Estates. I'll select the Real Estates and then click on continue. Now it wants us to deploy the website. So here you'll see our framework is preset, Next.js, and all we got to do is just click on deploy. Now it's deploying our website from GitHub, and this process might take a few minutes. So go get a coffee. All right, and here's our AI website. So here at the top, I'll click on view site. And now you'll see our brand new website on our new domain. So that's it. That's how you can sync up a website from Claude Code using Hostinger. Now, real quick, I just want to show you some other options. So over here, I'll go to dashboard. Now, what's really cool here is you can add more to your AI websites. So for example, you'll see that you have an SSL, it's malware protected, and you can even add a CDN. So here, I'll click on CDN, and then you can enable a CDN onto your AI websites. So here, I'll click on enable. Cool. Now your AI website has a CDN, so it can be delivered faster to people across the net. Next, let's say that you want to add a business email to your AI websites. Here, I'll click on set up email, and then I'll just select the free business email, click on get started, and then click on free trial. Then here, I'll just put in a name for my email address. I'll put, Daryl@mywebsite.com, and then I'll put in a password. All right, so now our business email has been created. So here I'll click on open inbox. All right, cool. Now you can send and receive business emails from your new domain. So here you'll see this is our new domain. And of course, you can go ahead and click on send message and start sending messages as your new domain. So next, let's go ahead and test this out. Let's go back over here to Claude. And I'm gonna ask it to change the colors, right? So change the colors to, I don't know, as a yellow. I don't know. Let's just, just give a change is what I'm trying to say. Let's just change it up a little bit here. All right, and now it's changed to yellow. Now I want to push these changes to the live websites. So to do that, here I'll just put looks good, commit it, and push it to GitHub. So the beauty of this is that you can make as many changes as you want and then push the changes. So let's say that you made a change and you messed up. Don't worry, it won't pull it right away. It'll only pull it when you instruct it. So here, I'll go ahead and run this prompt. Okay, now going back over here to Hostinger, I'll click on all deployments. And now you're going to see that it's actually building. So now it's actually fetching this information from GitHub, and it's going to sync it up with our websites. So it just takes like a few minutes. Oh, cool. It completed while I was talking. Let's go back over here to our websites, and let's just view this. And here is our website, and you'll see the changes had been reflected on our live domain. So that's how you can basically sync up a website with Hostinger, make changes to it, and push it to the live websites. All right, congratulations on setting up your AI websites. Now, for those of you who are happy with the way it is, you are free to go. Congrats. Now, for those of you who want to incorporate a free database onto your website, in this part of the video, I'll walk you through how to do that. And again, with a database, you can store customer information like emails, anything people enter in on your website, you can store in a database so you can market to them later, you can sell it, you can add it to your email campaigns or whatever. So let me walk you through how to set this up. All right, so in this section of the video, I'll be showing you how to incorporate a database onto your AI websites. Now, a database allows you to store things like, for example, if someone fills out this form, it'll be saved in a database. To give you an example, this is my database right here, and you'll see that we have like the name, the email, and the phone number, and then we have the message. So I'll be showing you how to incorporate this on your AI websites. You guys ready? All right. Now, the first thing that we're gonna do is make a free account at supabase.com. Now, I'll put a link to Supabase in the description. You can sign up for free and have like a free trial. They have like a free server you can use. Now, after you go to the sign up process, I'll go to my dashboard. You'll first see your organizations, and this is basically like a folder with all your projects. So here are all my projects. These are essentially all applications and websites. Now, the first thing I want to do when I get here is I want to create a new project. So right here, new project. And the project name for this one will be YouTube House, okay? And then I'll just throw in a password. After that, we'll scroll down. We'll make sure these two options are selected. You don't need to enable this one. And then you'll just click on Create New Project. Here, they're just saying this might cost you. No problem. I'll click on I understand. So now Supabase is building your database. Now this process might take a few minutes. Okay, so after you see healthy, the server is now established. Now let's head back to Claude. Okay, so going back to Claude, I'm over here in my project. Now, this is the current website that I'm gonna set this up on. It's a brand new website. I just finished making it, but I haven't connected it with the database yet. So the first thing I wanna do is go over here to Claude and then click on Settings. Now, just make sure you're using the Claude desktop version, okay? We'll go over to Connectors and then click on Customize. Now here under Connectors, I'll click on Add Connector and click on Browse Connectors. And we're gonna type in Supabase. Here we go, Supabase, there it is. So I'll go ahead and click on this plus icon. And then it'll automatically prompt me to the Supabase websites. All I gotta do is just make sure I authorize AP access. So here, this is my organization. And then I'll click on Authorize Claude. All right, so we're connected and it looks like it's gonna redirect me back to the application. All right. Now, once we get here under the connector section, click on Supabase. You always wanna make sure for the tool permissions that always allow is selected. So make sure this is selected. And scrolling down, same thing for write delete tools. Make sure this is always allow, okay? If you don't have that on, it's gonna constantly ask you for all these things. It takes a lot of time, it gets really annoying. So just make sure that you have that selected. Now let's go back to our project. All right, now the first thing that we're gonna do is enter in a command. Now we're going to enter in a command from Supabase. So going back over here, let's click on the connect button. Now here we have a few options, framework, direct, ORM, and MCP. Now we're gonna select the MCP. Make sure the client is Claude Code. Now scrolling down, you're gonna see connect your app. Now we've already done step 1 and we've already done step 2. We did it that way just because there's less errors. Maybe you guys might get something different on your screen. So we did it that way just to make sure that there's less errors as possible. Now here we're going to install the agents. So I'll click on copy and then let's go back to Claude. And then we'll type in this command. I want you to run the following command, : and then I'll just paste in that prompt from Supabase. And then I'll run this prompt. All right, so now that it's trained with the AI, now we're going to ask it to integrate a database onto this specific application. So let's type in this prompt here. Okay, so this prompt is a little bit longer. This is about half of it. Now, I want to implement Supabase into this application to make the Next.js dynamic. Now, we're saying this because we're essentially saying I want to make the database dynamic, meaning it can automatically adjust to your website depending on what you build. I don't want authentication for now. Allow every user to access our application and submit forms. Make sure you install the following libraries. Now, we're going to go back over here to Supabase, and we're going to go over here and click on Framework. Now, I wanted to install this specific library. So I'm gonna copy this, go back to Claude, okay, hit space, and then I'll paste that in. But we're not done yet, all right? I'm gonna hold Shift and Enter, and there's one more line we're gonna have to enter. And the last line is, and these are the environmental variables that you need to connect locally to the database so we can test for functionality. Make sure you add these variables to the env file. Now, we're going to get this from Supabase as well. So going back to Supabase, under the framework section, under add files, we're gonna copy these, and then we're going to go back to Claude. We're gonna hold Shift, Enter, and then paste it in. Now, I know this is a long prompt, but when you're building your database, it needs to build it in the correct structure. And if you don't do this, it's going to build it in an incorrect structure, and it's going to be wild. You're gonna have a lot of errors. It's not gonna fetch well with Hostinger. So make sure you use this same exact prompt. I'll also put this in the video description for all of you. I'm gonna spell, there we go, spell a little bit wrong. All right, so now that you entered in all this information, make sure that you guys do enter this verbatim, except obviously for this, because you're gonna have different keys. I'll go ahead now and run this prompt. Now it's currently building a database, so this process might take like 5 minutes. All right, and after about 10 minutes or so, they finally integrated it. Now it looks like my application experienced some sort of errors, and again, this has nothing to do with your application, but if you do get errors, it's just because the application is correcting itself and fixing itself. Now this actually works. So if I go over here to my Supabase accounts, I'll go over here and go to table editor. You can actually run some test leads. So here I'll click on leads, and you can see right away that Claude is now connected. So these are just demos from Claude. So you can ask them to run a demo. And here there is 2. So we know that it's connected and working. But we're not done yet. Don't get too comfortable. All right, I know everyone just wants to quit the video. There's a lot more to do. So we're gonna go back over here to Claude, and we wanna commit these changes and push it to GitHub. Commit the changes and push it to GitHub in the main branch. So here, I'll run this. Now the reason why I'm putting main branch is because that's where my project is currently located. So I just want to make sure that it's exactly where it's supposed to be. Now, if I go back over here to my Hostinger app, you're going to see it's building. Now it's building it because we're pushing it to the actual application. So yeah, just letting you know that it is connected and it is working. So let's go back to Claude. So now we want to push this to environmental production, because right now we're working in local host, but if we use this on our own live website, it's not really working at the current time. So what we want to do is push this into environmental production. So let's go ahead and run this prompt. So you're going to type this exactly. Adjust the git ignore to allow environmental production. Add environmental production with the 2 variables. Commit and push, but don't press anything yet because we need to get the actual variables. So we're going to go over here to the Supabase. Under our project, we're going to go over here to connect, and then we're going to take these 2 files right here. So I'm going to copy this, go back to the application, and then we're going to hold shift, press enter, and then we're going to paste those in there just like that. And then we'll hit send. Now this is probably the last step that we're going to do. Essentially why we're doing this is we want to make sure Hostinger can communicate with Claude. So we're just giving them those keys. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So now let's test this out. Let's go back over here to Hostinger really quick. And you're going to see that it's building. I'll click on all deployments, and you're going to see that this one was completed successfully, and now it's currently building the next one. Okay, so now let's test this out. I'm going to open up this window here, and then we're going to fill out this contact form. All right, so this is the live websites. I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to put Daryl at AOL.com. I'm a buyer. What is my budget here? I'll just put $1 million, whatever. And then I'll put howdy. And then I'll click on request access. Okay. Now, if this did not work, if something happened to your contact form, you may need to debug it. It has nothing to do with the database. It's just probably your project. Going back over here, let's go ahead now and test this out. Now, there is a few debugging methods in case this did not work properly for you guys. So here we have our leads, and there it is. You can see Daryl at DarylAOL.com. So you can see that it's fully integrated with the websites. Now, there is one debugging method I want to show you, just in case something did not work out. I realize this video is kind of hard to make for everyone because you may have different results than me, but this is the correct way on how to do it. But here I'll go ahead and give you a prompt to run. Now, sometimes this may or may not have been entered in the right repository. So what you can do here is you can say, I want this to be merged directly to the main branch. That'll essentially force the actual AI to put this information in the main branch instead of like a side repository. So I'll just go ahead and run this prompt and just see what happens here. Okay, so it looks like mine was already there, so nothing more for me to do, but sometimes it may push to the wrong branch. Now let's go back over here to GitHub. So next thing I'll do is go over here to GitHub, and under repositories, under YouTube House, if I click on environmental production, you should see something that looks just like this. If it does not look like this, then something went wrong. So you should see this. And what this does here is that this reroutes everything from Hostinger to Supabase. So Hostinger is basically the middle person. Now, if you did get an error for whatever reason, if you click on all deployments, it'll say failed. And if you click on the arrow right here, it'll explain why it failed. And this has happened to me in the past. And all you're gonna do is just copy the entire thing right here and then give it to actual Claude and say, hey, I got this error. you know, you paste it in here saying, I got this error from Hostinger. What is the problem? How can I connect it? And they should be able to debug it with Hostinger. Hostinger acts as the middle person to make sure that your database and Claude are working in sync together. Well, party people, you made it to the end. Thanks for watching. You know, this video actually took me a while to make. At first, we were doing this through Terminal, and to be honest, it didn't make a lot of sense because when you're building this through Terminal, your project or whatever, you can't really visually see what you're doing too well. So I thought to myself, I'm like, you know, man, this is not gonna work. We gotta find an easier way on how to do this. So me and my two developers, we dig through the trenches, and this is what we pulled out. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. You have any questions for me about Claude or Hostinger or WordPress or whatever, let me know in the comments below, and I'll do my best to get to all of your comments. My name is Daryl Wilson, and I will see all of you party people in the next video. Take care.